gymnast, Thema Williams. Mr. Geddert has agreed to speak with us to give us his side of the story. Mr. Geddert, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Well, honestly, I could be a little better. I've been spending the last 5 days in a fog of
but thank you for
unbelief.
Thank you for chatting with us, taking the opportunity to chat with us. We really want to hear your version of what transpired, what took place, that would have contributed to the Trinidad and Tobago Gymnastics Federation taking the decision to pull your athlete, your gymnast, Thema Williams, from the trials and replacing her with the other athlete, Marcelle. And I should tell you that so far the reports suggest that it was based on your reports and your concerns raised about her injuries and her inability to carry out certain exercises that they suggested that helped inform their decision to replace her.
Yeah, I regret sending a report that was incomplete. I regret certainly giving them the ammunition to read between the lines and interpret what I said to make a decision that I feel they've always wanted to make. Thema came off the floor and had a very disappointing practice. Athletes have disappointing practices all the time. I in no way gave them any indication that she couldn't compete, wouldn't compete, didn't want to compete, wasn't prepared to compete. I simply stated that she basically had a bad practice. We were limiting numbers on her sore ankle. Athletes at that level have injuries all the time. We limit the repetitions they do because at that level, that's what you do. All the athletes are dealing with limitations, or a great majority of them are dealing with limitations.
Sir, could I just interrupt you 1 minute to ask this? Having told them all of that, did you, in your report, say that in your view she was ready or she would be ready to participate?
I told them I had asked her if she felt she could do the job, and she said yes. That's the part about where they said I suggested that she withdraw. I know that was a week ago when I asked her, based on the importance of this competition, based on the responsibility this athlete has to represent her country well, I asked her if she could do the job with, nursing a little bit of a sore ankle. And she said adamantly, yes, of course I can. And it was just in a passing conversation, a conversation that you would have with any athlete at that point because of the importance of the competition.
But did you see
they took that.
But did you see that as a sufficient enough comment to mention it in your report?
What was that?
Did you see her comment or your concern as to whether she should withdraw because of your inquiring of her, of whether she would want to withdraw because of the injury? Was that discussion sufficient enough to put in your report to the association?
Well, obviously it shouldn't have been. Now in hindsight, it was just a comment that I was concerned enough about her ankle to make sure that she was ready to go. I was concerned
in other words, you asked the athlete whether she was ready to go and whether she could do it, and she said yes.
Absolutely.
Well, I would have expected her to say yes. But did you not think it your responsibility as the coach to say to our committee down here your position on the matter that you think she will be able to do it?
Well, I answered that she said she could do it. I wouldn't have her in the competition if I didn't think she could do it. I wouldn't have got on a plane. We wouldn't have been down there her training if I didn't think she could do it.
I want to ask you something. You said earlier that you felt that the association always wanted to replace Thema. What informed that statement?
Well, that would be 2 years worth of dealing with this organization. From the world selection procedures, which we sat at a dinner and agreed on what the world selection procedures were going to be. It was going to be a rank order from the championships. The person that placed the highest would be the athlete that got selected to the Olympic test event. And then when we got back, they tried to reverse it and change the selection procedures after the fact, because Thema was the athlete that placed the highest. From that to the photos, that whole deal. When that photo came out of Thema, they immediately wanted to scratch her from the event. And then when one came out of Marissa, then the whole issue was basically dropped. It's just one thing after another. And I've dealt with countless federations in the last 30 years, and I've never had to deal with this much drama in a 2-year period, ever.
Let me ask you, it appears from what we've had in the report that coming out from your written reports to the association, that they would have allegedly took a decision and discussed the matter between 12:27 a.m. and 1:27 a.m. on Saturday, April the 16th. It says here, Marquez informed Coach John Geddert at 12:27 a.m. on Saturday, April 16th, that the TTGF had decided to replace Williams with an alternate Dick on the grounds of a presumed injury. But apart from that communication, were you consulted otherwise as to the fitness, health, and readiness of your athlete at that time?
In other words, were you asked directly at any time by the Gymnastics Association in Trinidad?
Absolutely not. In that letter that Mr. Marquez sent me, he stated that he tried to contact me numerous times. I have one missed phone call, and I have a screenshot of it. I have one missed phone call at 12:30 a.m. when I was sleeping. I was in my room all evening. The hotel phone never rang. Thema's hotel phone never rang. They never tried to make numerous contacts. And, I mean, in a decision of this magnitude, you would think in the best interest of the athlete, in everything they've invested, that you would get all the information. You know, whether we speak the same language or not, there is still a little bit of a communication barrier. And sometimes when something I say may be misinterpreted. And in this case, it definitely was.
Let me ask you, apart from you as coach, is there any other member of the staff, doctor, medic, therapist, who might have been available to the association to give a professional opinion on as to the health and readiness of this athlete going into this this event?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And our assigned athletic trainer and team manager, Nicole Fuentes, was on site. She was in charge of taking care of Thema. She was the athletic trainer on site. She informed the council that they were overreacting when they contacted her that night. Some of them contacted via email or something. And she told me that she told them that they were overreacting. So they didn't take the advice of the person that they put on the floor to protect the health and wellness of the athlete. They didn't even take her opinion into consideration. And then the next day, they said that they wanted us to go to the medical staff at the Rio event, which we did, and they cleared Thema for participation, saying that it would be her choice.
Now, why I ask those questions is because there's an article that is being quoted from the Edmonton Journal, which says that Dick was en route to Brazil, making a journey of some 11,000 kilometers. She caught a ride from Fort Murray to Edmonton at 9 p.m. Friday night. Jumped on a 7 a.m. Saturday flight to Houston, then to Rio. Now it means that she had already been notified that she would have been replacing Thema. This clearly would have happened in terms of timeline before the association spoke with you.
That would have happened before the association got my report.
Before they got your report?
If it was 7 o'clock in Edmonton, there's a 3-hour time change. They got my report at 7 o'clock Trinidad time, or somewhere around there, 7 or 8. So it's just a calamity of. Then Mr. Marquez says it was a unanimous vote by the council. Well, I found out. I have friends on the council. They didn't talk to everybody. They didn't get a vote from everybody. And some of the members of the council said they needed additional information, which Mr. Marquez never bothered to try to get. And yet he states it was a unanimous decision. It was not a unanimous decision. If you can tell, I'm a little bit frustrated.
What, in your opinion, as the coach, assessing your assessment of Thema at that time in terms of her well-being, the injury that she was carrying, her performance, her warm-up performance, her routine exercises and so on, based on what you had seen, do you think as the coach and a man who has had a wide breadth of experience with international athletes at a similar level, would she have been good enough, in your opinion, to qualify on the day?
Without any question. Thema on her worst day of competition, would have met the minimum score that ended up qualifying. And she certainly wasn't in any position to be turning in her worst performance. She was determined, she was prepared, she was ready to go. We were just pacing our stallion. And they took that to mean she was injured.
Well, if I understand how athletes prepare for events like this, is that they pace themselves, and those who have injuries would nurse the injuries so that they wouldn't push as hard. There are certain things they may avoid and save themselves for the event. Was that the approach taken by you, the coach, and the staff?
That's the approach I used with my world champion in 2011, my Olympian in 2012. When you're coming down to the finish line, you don't need to learn how to do gymnastics anymore. You already know how to do it. What you need to be is rested, confident, and mentally prepared. And that's what we were doing. And they took the ball right out of our hands. I was beyond words when I got that up at 8 o'clock in the morning and got that email. I mean, it was the most unthinkable thing any organization could do to an athlete who has invested so much time. Thema would have been the spokesperson for Trinidad Gymnastics. She's a perfect role model for children in gymnastics in Trinidad. She's smart, she's articulate, beautifully spoken, and it's a shame.
Now, there are comments, there are allegations that you would have left the facility, leaving Thema on her own at that time for some reason. Is that the case, and why did you leave?
Well, that's somebody trying to create drama. Once we were within the 24-hour window, the game was over. There was no ability to appeal. Even if the TTGF reversed their decision, the FIG, the Federation of International Gymnastics, would not reverse theirs. They have a 24-hour window. We were well within that when I got on a plane. I happened to have a family emergency. Tina's 20 years old. She wanted to stay. She was coming home anyway. She wasn't coming back with me. She was there with her team manager, Nicole Fuentes, so I didn't leave her alone, and the game was over. In some of the responses from spokespersons of the association suggest that your concern was also relevant to a number of falls that she had and a number of exercises she couldn't complete
leading up to the qualifier, suggesting that you became frustrated by that and was satisfied that the athlete would not have been able to compete because the injury was so damaging.
That would be their interpretation of how they wanted to word it. I also sent them a follow-up email the next day. I goes, if you guys would have called me, a phone call, I could have explained. Yeah, she had a few falls in the initial attempt on podium training.
Why was it necessary to tell them that she had a few falls and that she had this
you're
stuff?
Supposed to, you're supposed to give them an honest report of what's going on. But I could have wrote another 2 pages and explained that her next attempt up, she did almost a flawless bar routine. She made all the corrections she needed to do. When you go on podium train, it's basically the dress rehearsal for the main show. And she made all the corrections she needed to make.
So did you communicate that to the association in a follow-up report?
That's what I did the next day after they, when they sent me that email. I go, you guys, you could have called me. I would have explained all of this. You know.
So let me ask you, a national athlete sent by an association was having challenges in terms of an injury, and you have a coach, management, and so on. Didn't the association at any time call, and the president or anybody call to get a sense of the health and well-being of the athlete? Apart from, in terms of the urgency of it and the fact that this will be our first athlete attempting to qualify for a World Cup, an Olympics.
Yeah. No, they did not. They have my cell phone. Like I said, I had one missed phone call at 12:30 a.m., which I was sleeping. When I got up the next morning, I saw the missed phone call. And actually, it was just a bunch of numbers. I didn't even know where it was from. It didn't say from David Marquez. It just was a bunch of numbers.
But are they in the habit of speaking? What is the normal communication lines?
There are none. That's one of the issues with this administration. I can't tell you the number of times I've asked questions or requested information or a clarification or instructions of what is expected of me because there is no national team handbook or guide for coaches. Okay, people from your country might know what they expect, but I'm from outside. I know what USA Federation expects. I'm not sure what the Trinidad. I've asked them countless times, and basically I was more times than not met with silence.
What is the future of Thema Williams now, Coach?
Well, I know Thema will land on her feet. She's a go-getter young lady. She's gonna be fine. As devastating as this may be, she's gonna be fine.
Let me ask you, as a coach of international athletes and somebody who has spent a lot of time in the gymnast world and so on, have you had time to observe Marissa Dick? And what are your thoughts on that athlete and her capacity to medal?
Well, she has no chance of medaling in the Olympics. Zero chance. Marissa is a wonderful young lady, and I don't want any of this. All of this, none of this is Marissa's fault. I mean, she didn't make decisions. She was the benefit of some decisions, but I'm not holding Marissa at fault here. But as far as athletes go, there is, and people might think this is a biased comment, but there is no comparison in athletic ability. The ability to run, jump, the dance ability. Thema is a far superior athlete, and she showed it at World Championships. She showed it.
Mr. Geddert, have any more questions?
No, it's a very sad situation. I mean, it's alarming and very astounding, some of your revelations that you have given to us, that there was no any real attempts to contact you, that the decision may have been made in advance of your report, and that for me is a damning thing. And then there was, as you say, there was no unanimity contrary to what is being claimed.
Exactly. And I'm sure you can do enough research on your own to find the names of those council members that did not vote. or were not contacted or requested additional information.
Based on your own assessment, would you think that those were in the majority?
I do not think it would have been a majority.
No, I mean, if you think a majority of them were not consulted.
I would leave that up to them.
I understand. So, Geddert, thanks very much for chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for all the support.
Thank you.
No problem. Once again, let's open the lines and gentlemen, take some calls.